4 artists compete to make their name in the competitive comic book industry by becoming the next Dare2Draw champion. The winner of today's show will have a 48-page graphic novel produced by Dare2Draw Studios. Facing fast-paced, high-stakes challenges, contestants must draw for survival or be erased. This is Dare2Draw.
My name is Yoshii. I'm originally from Honolulu, Hawaii, and right now I'm a graphic designer at a toy company. I want to portray women as power figures that, other younger girls would look up to.
I'm Plaid Klaus. I'm from Virginia, and I'm a professional freelance illustrator. I like things to be depicting reality, but I like to distort them and twist them and bend them according to what the emotions of the scene and character need to be.
My name's Lydia Roberts. I'm an artist living in Brooklyn, New York City, and I do drawing, painting, comic books. My day job is a decorative painting day job, so I help restore and redecorate a mini mansion on the Upper West Side.
My name is Dillard. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I have been a caricaturist for 15 years. I draw cartoon versions of people. Basically, it's a loaded portrait. That's pretty much what I do.
You are going to be creating a character based on one of these classical archetypes from storytelling and mythology. Lynne, you get the rebel. Plaid Klaus, you get the innocent. Lydia, you get the trickster. Kenley, you get the lover. Now remember, these archetypes are universally recognizable, and they need to be obvious in the drawings that you give us.
My family was initially not very supportive of my comics. They didn't really think it was a viable form of, income or career choice, and it is a hard thing to do,
I tried to be very archetypal. The other artists' work they're great. They're all great. If I was the judge, it would be very hard for me to pick.
The first thing that comes to mind is Loki the Trickster, but I really don't want to go with the average stereotype. I want to go more with kind of a like Vegas kind of con feeling of like hot-looking girl that you might not expect to pull the trick on you.
You have less than 2 minutes to complete this drawing.
The image I'm trying to create is a fragile girl in a dark environment, huddling in this one light. It's her one safe, secure area. And so she feels safe here, but at the same time, there's a threat to her innocence.
Stylus down. So let's take your work to the judges. First, we have Eisner winner Alex Maleev, known for his work on Marvel Comics Daredevil, Moon Knight, and his own creator work, Scarlet. Next, we have Eisner nominee Amy Reeder, best known for her work on DC Comics Madame Xanadu, Batwoman, and her own creator-owned book, Rocket Girl. And last but not least, our final judge is an Eisner, Eagle, and Yellow Kid award-winning writer and artist Bill Sienkiewicz, best known for his work on The New Mutants, Stray Toasters, and Elektra Assassin. Lynne, so tell us about your rebel.
Okay. Well, because I got the rebel archetype, I just basically threw in every single icon, the leather jacket, the cigarette smoking, because it's bad for you. You shouldn't be doing that. The scars, the sneering attitude that just kind of like scoffs at authority. And just added the punk look too, because, come on, punk is the epitome of rebellion.
Was that the first thing that went through your head?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I kind of like the way that you rendered it as well. Like the scribble marks and stuff actually really work for the characterization. So even the rendering itself seems like it makes it more rebellious, I would say.
Plaid Klaus, talk to us about the innocent.
I wanted to show someone in a vulnerable scene, a little bit frightened, because part of being innocent is being frightened of the world, not knowing what's out there. And then I threw a little cat in there, she's clinging on to this one friend she's got.
What strikes me about this is that it's more frightened than innocent. And I wonder if you feel the same way too. When you look at it, she's looking off to the side, she's not looking at us. Right. There's something going on off the frame, obviously. I mean, if you wanted to be even more frightened, could have been a beam of headlights coming through or something like that. But she does look frightened. I give you that, but I don't know if she's innocent.
So Lydia, you had the trickster. Tell us about her.
So to me, real tricksters are more of the gold digger kind of end of things, where it's the person who's actually managing to con you into something, which to do so, they can't be outright and actually appear, because that would ruin kind of the game.
The one issue I have regarding depicting the trickster in terms of the archetype. I think that having the figure to the side hinders, in some respects, the idea of what this character would be in any context.
In my opinion, you were better off without that second figure. Composition-wise, you don't need that at all, and just steals away from her, which is what you want the eye to look at when you look at that drawing.
Kenley, you told me you're both a lover and a fighter. So tell me a little bit about that lover right over there.
Yeah, well, he's the humble type. He doesn't mind getting down on one knee. Initially, I was going to draw him alone, but I figured if I drew him alone, he'll come up kind of conceited, and he doesn't really have to love anybody else but himself.
Yeah, it seems like, again, even though it is the lover, and that one would think that would be the best case to have another character in there. I think it would have been a really cool challenge if you could have pulled it off with one person.
In a way, I think it's overcrowding that picture when you have the little angels floating, the little castle in the back. There's probably like a forest, I don't know what that is. It's just that things are getting just too much spice in that dish, you know? Because it just doesn't need to be told so elaborately, you know? Simple is sometimes very difficult to do.
So today's quick draw is going to be judged by your guest mentor. He's another luminary in our business, and he's an Eisner and Harvey Award winner. He's best known for his work on things like The Dark Knight Returns, Daredevil, and The Punisher. And he's also a really good friend. Please welcome Klaus Janson. So Klaus, who are a couple of your favorites?
Phil, I have to say, let me just ask, the one on the right is by Plaid Klaus.
That's right.
Is that a teddy bear or a girl? What?
Little kitty.
Oh, with a kitten?
Yeah.
I see, okay, I get that. I think my two favorites would have to be, I think Lynne's, and I would say Kenley. I like what Kenley did. I do think that it is a little busy. I'm curious to see what the prince or the male character would look like just by himself, but I think the execution is pretty strong. And Lynne, I think, is direct, clean, and simple. I would like to have seen a little bit more in terms of the outfit and in terms of the archetype, but I think it succeeds in what you were trying to do.
So Klaus, which one's the winner?
Out of all four, I would pick Lynne as the best executed piece.
Congratulations, Lynne! That actually means you gain advantage in the next challenge. So welcome back, guys. So Lynne, as our winner, you get to keep the character you created for our next challenge. But as you can see, for the rest of you, we've actually swapped out your characters. So that each of you will be working with an archetype someone else designed. Here's your next 15-minute challenge. You are drawing a single breakdown page, and this is the story. It's the apocalypse. Your character has the secret object, the key, to saving the world. And you have to get your character from oblivion to salvation in that one page. Does that make sense? So, dare to draw. You have 15 minutes.
Because this is one story that has to be told in one page, needs establishing shot. You need to show the character, the main character, establish setting, and then have a climax of action and then a conclusion. So I'm trying to put all that in, trying to introduce all the elements. Since this is the apocalypse, the rebel kind of fits nicely. She's going to save the world, right?
Just setting up the mood, got the two central characters, setting the scene. For her, it's the apocalypse. She's a trickster, she hates being in cages. I kind of let the story unfold on its own. I establish the problem first, and then once the problem's established, the character has to come up with a solution.
I have the lover. His lover is going to be a zombie. It's a sad thing for lovers. He's trying to do a first quick pass kind of thing, and then hopefully I can cut down on him or mess around with the sizing for him. Hopefully streamline it a little bit. Luckily, since it's just breakdowns, I don't have to sweat it too much, except for clarity.
The innocent girl, just like the other one, wherever my mind goes. It's unpredictable. I just go with the flow. I won't know until I'm done.
10 seconds. Stylist is down. So welcome back to the judges table. Lynne, why don't you tell us a little bit about the layout?
Okay, well, I had to tell almost a whole story in one page. So I just made sure that there certain things were established. I established that there was an imminent action and danger going on, establishment of the character, close up, and the key totem that she was holding. This is sort of the establishment of the obstacles that she had to go to. She dashes to her objective, she reaches her objective.
Can I ask, like that third panel, what viewpoint is that? Is that her viewpoint?
That is her viewpoint. It was supposed to be scrawled with, monsters and zombies.
The fact that you've chosen to put that as the third panel as opposed to the first panel is a little confusing to me because we really don't see any establishing shot. We don't know which direction she's heading toward. It's like that could be behind her or whatever.
I think the mistake that I did was I put the objective right in the middle. What I should have done was done a 3/4 view, put the objective here. But at that point, there wasn't much time to change it, because I thought establishing the objective was more important than establishing where she was.
Like the whole goal when you go from panel to panel, especially when you switch the view, because you're switching it 180 degrees, you want to have one continuous element between each.
So, Klaus, tell the judges a little bit about your piece.
Sure. This person who's a trickster, she's just been arrested, which for her is the apocalypse. Being in a cage, she's going to have to try and trick her way out of it. Her shoes the whole time concealed something that she keeps within, which is this little device she can pick handcuffs with. The cop goes over to call it in, and she tricks her way out of it, runs away, and at the end there's an empty set of handcuffs.
Panel 4, is that her leg picking the lock?
Yeah.
The drawing is, man, you're pushing it.
Just make sure that the anatomy of this is correct. If I were you, I even zoom in on her toes, showing how she unlocks the handcuffs. What you need to do is you got to focus on the things that my eye needs to read first.
I don't think it's good to think in terms of storyboards. And we noticed when you were doing all of this that you were zooming in on one panel at a time, and they were all equally sized because you were only thinking of one thing at a time. The whole point of thumbnails in layouts or breakdowns or whatever you want to call them is that you want to be able to see the big picture. That's the whole reason why you're doing it, so you're kind of removing it by doing that.
So Lydia, tell the judges a little bit about your layout.
So for this one, I had Kenley's lover character. So what I did in his apocalypse was killed off his lover. She's dead, gone. And I was gonna do more with zombies, but what I decided to do was just keep her in a little grave right now. So we've got him standing on his little lone grave overlooking his burning castle and apparently burning lands. He's looking at his locket of them two smiling in nicer times, sitting on the grave, feeling very sad. He kisses the ground, and as he kisses the ground, his zombie lover pops back up, very excited to see him again.
I think I kind of speak for all of us that when we were watching everybody working on these, we were most impressed with yours because, like, at least during the development of it, because it seemed like we could tell what was going on. We didn't really even need an explanation, and that's exactly what you want a breakdown to be, because if it works when it's small and scribbly, it'll really work in the final product.
I thought that the idea of the quote apocalypse, being humanized by the sense of the loss of the lovers, and then the inset of the locket, I thought was a very nice touch.
So Kenley, do you want to talk to the judges a little bit about your page?
Yeah. Basically, it's supposed to be an apocalyptic type thing, so I figured, I imagined rocks falling down and stuff. There's still a little bit of buildings left. Now, this is very crude, but hear me out. In the foreground, we have the girl, the innocent girl. Over here, she's gonna be right by a alleyway type apartment. She's just like a little wall over here, and everything's like crashing down. And she's on the phone with somebody who's giving her advice. She basically, whoever's on the phone says there's a key on the cat, and she's holding the cat. That's why I kind of zoomed in. That can free you from all of this. She takes the key. That's why I emphasized it. And a big keyhole. She kind of like opens it up in the middle of the air. That's as far as I've gotten.
My first response is that the deal was to bring it from apocalypse to salvation. That's one step. We don't know where that's ending up. I mean, she's putting the key. It could open up into a worse apocalypse. Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't get how she is receiving that information over the phone about the location of the key. You're saying that somebody tells her that, but we're not allowed to have any words. So you're telling us that somebody tells her, but a reader would not actually know that.
Thanks, everyone. We're going to give the judges some time to deliberate. And so we're going to ask that you retire to the Wacom Lounge while these guys figure out who won this challenge and who's going to be erased. So I know you've been working really, really hard today and you've been turning out some amazing stuff. It's actually been really great. But as you know, there can only be one winner, and the judges have made a decision. So, Plaid, Klaus, and Lynne, you are safe. Please return to your tables. Lydia and Kenley, that means one of you has won this challenge and the other is going to be erased. Judges?
Okay, first, Lydia, we pretty much are in agreement. The locket was a confusing aspect of something that had not really been presented before. So in terms of storytelling, that was a little bit confusing. Now the other thing is that your storytelling from beginning to end was very, very clear. And that was actually one of the best things about it.
What we feel that you need to establish with the locket is that he's holding it. So if you want to have the background of the locket, his palm, or in the next panel, his hand, and you can probably have a chain holding out of his hand, something that needs to show that he has it in his hand. And this is a major point for us that we all agreed on that this is where your story breaks, basically right there.
Kenley, you're an amazing artist. I mean, your ability to be able to just up and draw something is quite like astounding, and it's actually been really cool to watch on this screen. And we're also incredibly impressed that you decided to scrap everything, and in 5 minutes we're able to compile a thumbnail, and not just a thumbnail, you changed the story completely. It's most impressive. Unfortunately, it seems like the thing that you could work on this is that there's a lot of non sequitur stuff going on as a result. So, as we said before, the talking on the phone is a little bit confusing. There's also just the fact that everything seems a little convenient, like the key coming out of nowhere, and it's almost like you took maybe a little too literally what we had said about using a key and a lock. So anyway, so that would be what we would think about you going forward with it.
Okay, so you've heard what the judges have to say. Like I said earlier, there can only be one winner and there can only be one loser. So the winner of this second draw challenge is Lydia. So I'm sorry, Kenley, that means you've been erased. Congratulations, Lydia. Go take your station. Oh my God, guys, you made it. So congratulations, you made it this far. And listen, I know you've worked really, really hard, but it's only gonna get a little bit harder. It's actually gonna get a lot harder. We don't have very much time, so I'm gonna need you to bring your A game to this. It's so important. You have to do your very best work because you have to impress those judges. Lydia, because you won the last challenge, that means you get an advantage in this one. But first, I need you to pick from one of these three words: rage, awe, or despair.
I choose despair.
Despair. Wow, that's kind of depressing. Anyway, this is your challenge. This is how you're going to use despair. You're going to actually have to incorporate it in your art, somehow tonally, with the figure. It doesn't matter, but that new page is going to have to reek of despair and of depression. Now, for the two of you, I need you to pick a judge.
I'm going to choose Amy.
Amy. Plaid, Klaus.
I'll go with Alex.
You don't have a choice.
So the judges that you have just chosen are going to assign you your emotions. So, Amy, what's your emotion?
Awe.
Alex, what's yours?
Rage.
Rage. You guys have heard, you have to incorporate these emotions into your final layout. They have to be there tonally in the figures. It doesn't matter, but they have to reek of the emotion that your judges have assigned you. You ready? Draw. Everyone has 4 minutes left. Clean this stuff up, make it presentable, impress those judges. This is for the win. Stylus down. So Lynne, talk about your page.
Oh, my page, yes. Well, I incorporated the suggestions from before. I actually took out the first panel because I needed to add another panel to express the all part of the theme. Took any suggestion for a different angle from this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th panel. Kept that one, made the the awe, expression of awe, and made this bigger boom.
Terrific. Judges, what do you think?
I think you made a lot of really good choices. I think especially the whole, when we inserted the awe, it actually made it fit together so much better, and I'm really happy to see that you're able to adjust. I'll also say one thing that we were concerned about with your very first character sketch was that it seemed like you were playing too close to what comes easy, like the pose and stuff like that, and maybe not drawing out the hand. But you actually picked something here that, I mean, I do kind of wish that you could zoom in more, but there's all these different characters, zombies. You went for broke, and that's pretty cool.
Plaid, Klaus, tell us about your final page.
Sure, yeah, I was a mad scramble to sort of edit all the feedback I was getting. So I wish I had more time to sort of draw some things out, but I ended up just sort of repositioning and getting the panels to sort of help the story flow.
It really worked out the way actually you did the establishing shot first and then the resolution at the end. What I believe you should have done is remove the car, because we don't see the car in the first panel and then there's a car in the second. But we know that it could be off a little bit, but it's just overpowering this panel where other things should be happening. My personal opinion is that you took too much time, although you're fast, I give you that, but you took too much time on shading, whereas I would have loved to see a higher contrast and better detail, especially in the faces, in the hands, so I can see some kind of anatomy. There are places where it's just stick figures, and maybe you should have spent more time on that.
So Lydia, tell us about your final page.
So my final page, the emotion I chose was despair, because it was already kind of in keeping with the comic. So what happened was that the layout got surgically shifted around here. This, which was a major panel, became an inset. He became a super panel / vignette of his despair. And a little bit more of an ending, because it turns out she's not really a zombie, she's kind of hot still. And they kiss at the end. And
the wonderful aspect of it is you really sell the despair, the aspect of a love lost. So there is that level of apocalyptic despair. The fact that she is revived at the end and that there is a denouement of them kissing, I think it does tie it up. So I feel that the positive aspect is the fact that you really get the emotion, the human touch, the emotion of the despair. I think that it's always a process of improvement, but in terms of a through line that has a beginning, middle, end, and connection, it's all there.
No, there can only be one champion of Dare2Draw. You all did amazing work, but one of you went one step above. The winner of Dare2Draw is Lydia.
Oh, shit. I mean,
Congratulations, Lydia. Your 48-page graphic novel is about to be published by Dare2Draw Studios.
craziness.
Thank you so much.